You ever notice how every so-called upgrade in life is really just another clever way to make you pay for something you didn't even know you were missing yesterday? That's the beauty of modern progress. It always arrives dressed like a hero, but somehow it sneaks in like a pickpocket. They tell you it's all about convenience. Convenience, that magical word that makes you hand over money faster than a kid trading candy. They say, this will save you time. Yeah, it saves you so much time you spend the next 3 weeks learning how to use it. Nothing like buying a gadget to make life easier, only to spend half your life trying to remember the password that makes it work. It used to be simple. You bought something, it worked until it broke, and then you either fixed it or threw it away. Now you buy something, and by the time you figure out which button does what, they've already announced a newer, better version that fixes the thing you didn't even know was broken. Suddenly you're stuck with a perfectly good device that feels like a relic from the Stone Age, because apparently last year is now prehistoric. And of course, you buy the new one, because who wants to be the only person at the party still using old technology? Even if the only thing new about the upgrade is a shinier box and a slightly different color, that's the joke. You pay for progress, and progress pays you back in headaches. Take speed, for example. Everything's faster. Fast food, fast cars, fast connections. We can communicate with someone across the world in seconds. We can order dinner without leaving the couch. We can binge, watch entire seasons of shows we don't even like. And yet, nobody has any time. Isn't that odd? We've got machines doing the laundry, washing the dishes, mowing the lawn, and somehow people are busier than ever. You'd think with all this speed, we'd have time to sit quietly and think. Instead, we're racing around like a hamster on a caffeine drip, staring at clocks that keep reminding us how late we are to something we didn't even want to attend in the first place. And the stress, oh, the stress. Modern progress comes with a complementary side of anxiety. You can track every heartbeat, count every step, monitor every calorie. It's like carrying a tiny drill sergeant in your pocket, yelling at you for sitting too long. Stand up, move around, drink more water. As if your life wasn't stressful enough, now you've got a gadget tattling on you for not walking to the mailbox, and people love it. They'll say, this little device keeps me accountable. Accountable to what? To a machine that charges you for telling you you're lazy. That's progress. You pay to be insulted by electronics. Even the idea of more options is its own little comedy. Progress brings choices, so many choices. Hundreds of cereal boxes, dozens of toothpaste flavors, 1,000 ways to brew a cup of coffee, and somehow, with all these options, nobody can decide anything. You stand in the grocery aisle staring at 50 different brands of oatmeal like you're negotiating a peace treaty. You'd think having more options would make life easier. Instead, it makes every decision feel like a life or death situation. People spend 20 minutes choosing a streaming show and then complain they don't have enough time to relax. That's not convenience. That's paralysis disguised as freedom. And let's not forget the price of keeping up. Progress is expensive. Everything's a subscription now. You don't own anything. You rent it. Music, movies, software, even your razor blades arrive like a magazine. Remember when you bought a thing and it was yours. Now you pay monthly just to keep using what you already paid for. Miss a payment and suddenly you can't shave or listen to music. And your fridge is threatening to cancel your ice cubes. You're basically renting your own life back from people who convinced you it's normal. That's the ultimate punchline. Progress sells you the same life you already had, but now it bills you every month for the privilege, and the best part, people defend it. They'll brag about how advanced everything is, as if having to reboot your vacuum cleaner is a sign of civilization. Look at all the things my home can do. Yeah, it can spy on you, break down in the middle of the night, and require a firmware update while you're trying to sleep. Very impressive. Meanwhile, the old vacuum from 20 years ago still works fine. It just doesn't talk back or send your cleaning schedule to a server in another country. Somehow that makes it inferior. It's not that progress is bad. It's that progress always arrives with a hidden invoice. You pay with your money, your time, your peace of mind. Faster isn't always better. Smarter isn't always smarter. Sometimes it's just louder, brighter, and more complicated. We're like kids chasing a shiny toy, only to realize the batteries aren't included and the instructions are written in a language nobody speaks. And the people selling it to you are laughing all the way to the bank, because they know you'll come back next year for the slightly improved version of the same thing you didn't need in the first place. That's the real comedy of modern life. We keep buying promises of an easier future, and all we get is a busier present. You ever notice how happiness these days comes with a price tag and a receipt? Somewhere along the way, somebody convinced everyone that joy could be packaged, shrink, wrapped, and sold in easy monthly installments. Modern life has turned happiness into a product, and the marketplace is crowded. You can buy a new phone, a new shirt, a new self-help book, even a new personality if the commercials are to be believed. And the funny thing is, every one of these things promises to be the one that finally fills that mysterious hole inside you. You know the hole. It's the same one that keeps you staring at catalogs at 3 in the morning, wondering if a new blender is the key to inner peace. People wander through stores like pilgrims at a holy site, eyes wide, clutching their credit cards like prayer beads. They tell themselves, I deserve this, I work hard, this will make me feel better. And for about 15 minutes it does. That glow you get after a purchase is real. Psychologists even have a name for it, but you don't need science to recognize it. It's the high you feel when you open the box and inhale that special new stuff smell. It's like a quick hit of happiness, a sugar rush for the soul. But it fades fast, and when it's gone, you're left staring at a pile of packaging and a slightly emptier bank account, wondering why you still feel exactly the same. It's not just stuff either, it's experiences. People line up to buy the perfect weekend, the ultimate vacation, the life-changing workshop. You can't just take a trip anymore. You have to curate a memory. And while you're standing in front of a waterfall, taking 40 photos to prove how happy you are, you're missing the very thing you paid to see. You become a tourist in your own life, collecting souvenirs instead of moments. The trip becomes a receipt, proof you were there, even if you never really were. Advertising fuels the whole comedy. The job of an ad is to convince you that something is missing and then sell you the cure. They whisper you're almost happy, but not quite. Maybe if you had this one little thing, you'd finally feel complete. And they're clever about it. They don't just sell a product, they sell an identity. Buy this car and you're adventurous. Buy this lotion and you're youthful. Buy this cereal and you're the kind of person who cares about fiber. It's like shopping for a personality, one aisle at a time. And people fall for it because it feels easier than facing the truth. The truth is messy. It doesn't come with free shipping or a 30-day return policy, but buying something, that's simple. You hand over money, and for a few precious hours you can pretend the new shoes or the fancy gadget is the answer. And why not? Society practically begs you to participate. Sales are holidays now. Black Friday, summer blowouts, clearance extravaganzas. It's like the calendar was invented by a cashier. People plan their lives around discounts, racing to stores at dawn to save $5 on a toaster they don't need. Nothing says spiritual fulfillment like wrestling a stranger over a half-price waffle maker. Of course, it doesn't stop with buying. There's a whole culture of upgrading. Once you have something, the clock starts ticking until it's no longer good enough. A newer model comes out, slightly shinier, slightly thinner, maybe with one extra button that does absolutely nothing, and suddenly the perfectly fine thing you already own looks like a relic. Your phone isn't old, it just lost the popularity contest. And heaven forbid your neighbors see you with last year's model. That's not just an outdated gadget, that's a public admission of failure. Progress isn't about improvement anymore, it's about staying one purchase ahead of embarrassment. And while people chase these upgrades, they convince themselves it's practical. I need this for work. It's an investment. It's more efficient. Efficiency, that's a great one. People spend hours researching a product that promises to save them minutes. They'll compare 10 different coffee machines, read 20 reviews, and drive across town to get the best price, all to shave 30 seconds off their morning routine. By the time they finish shopping, they've spent more hours than the machine will ever save. But it feels good because it's progress, and progress is supposed to make you happy. Even health is for sale. You can buy happiness by the bottle, vitamins, supplements, powders that promise energy, focus, and eternal youth. Drink this and you'll glow. Swallow that and you'll thrive. Never mind that people still feel tired and cranky. They'll just buy another bottle, and when the next miracle product arrives, they'll switch without a second thought. Because if happiness is something you can buy, maybe the next purchase is the magic one. The great cosmic gag is that everyone already knows it doesn't work. Deep down, people understand that no gadget or trip or supplement is going to provide permanent joy. They've experienced the pattern 100 times: desire, purchase, brief thrill, disappointment, but they keep playing the game because it offers something to look forward to. The chase itself becomes addictive. It gives structure to the day, something to talk about, something to dream about. It's easier to think, I'll be happy when I get that thing, than to sit quietly and figure out why happiness feels so slippery in the first place. And if you try to step out of the cycle, you'll notice how hard the world works to pull you back in. Emails announce limited time offers. Store windows scream about the must-have item of the season. Friends show off their latest purchase with the excitement of a toddler holding a balloon. Even conversations revolve around shopping. Where'd you get that? Is it on sale? Does it come in blue? People talk about products the way ancient tribes talked about weather and crops, as if survival depends on snagging the right pair of shoes before sunset. But here's the quiet joke behind the noise: the things that actually bring happiness, connection, laughter, a good meal with someone you love, don't require a single receipt. They are free or close to it, which makes them suspicious to a society trained to equate price with value. If something doesn't cost anything, people wonder if it's worth anything. They'll happily spend hundreds on a weekend retreat to learn mindfulness while ignoring the perfectly good park down the street. It's as if joy doesn't count unless it comes with a barcode. So the treadmill keeps running, powered by the belief that the next purchase will finally deliver the life you've been chasing. And every once in a while, you might pause long enough to see the pattern for what it is: a giant shopping cart with a wobbly wheel, squeaking its way through an endless store, full of things that promise happiness but never quite deliver. And if that isn't comedy, I don't know what is. Have you ever really looked at the little routines that make up an ordinary day and realized they're the funniest show on earth? Every morning starts like a carefully rehearsed skit that nobody remembers agreeing to. You wake up to an alarm clock that sounds like a tiny robot having a nervous breakdown, and the first thing you do is hit the snooze button, because nothing says I'm ready to seize the day like pretending it isn't happening. Then you finally drag yourself out of bed, shuffle to the bathroom, and stare in the mirror at a face that looks like it just lost a bar fight with a pillow. And the best part, you do it every single day, like a clown performing the same act for an audience of one. Even breakfast has its own absurd choreography. People stand in front of a cupboard full of food complaining there's nothing to eat, then pour the same cereal they've been eating since they were 12, because God forbid we risk excitement before coffee. Coffee itself is a comedy routine. We treat it like a magic potion, carefully measuring and brewing, as if the future of civilization depends on getting the ratio of water to beans exactly right. Some folks have machines that hiss, bubble, and beep like a mad scientist's experiment, all so they can create a beverage whose primary purpose is to make them slightly less angry at existing. And if the machine breaks, tragedy, civilization collapses. Someone has to call a neighbor, borrow a cup, or make a desperate trip to the corner shop wearing pajamas and the face of a person who hasn't spoken to another human yet. Then there's the commute, a daily masterpiece of shared frustration. People cram into buses, trains, and cars like sardines, trying to beat each other to a destination nobody actually wants to reach. Everyone thinks they're the only sane driver on the road, surrounded by maniacs who clearly learned traffic laws from a comic book. You sit in a metal box, inching forward at the speed of a lazy turtle, listening to the same morning radio hosts tell the same jokes, while pretending not to notice the person next to you picking their nose. And if you're on foot, you're dodging puddles, flyers, and fellow pedestrians who can't walk in a straight line if their lives depended on it. Work is a circus all its own. You clock in like an obedient little performer, shuffle papers, attend meetings, nod politely at bosses who use words like synergy, without ever explaining what they mean. Meetings are the best part. They're basically group naps with snacks. People gather around a table to talk about plans for future plans, while someone takes notes nobody will ever read. Half the room is thinking about lunch. The other half is rehearsing their thoughtful face. And when the meeting finally ends, everyone thanks each other for their valuable input, as if anyone said anything worth remembering. Even lunch breaks are a routine comedy. People spend the morning complaining about work, then spend lunch complaining about food, then spend the afternoon complaining about how short lunch was. Someone always microwaves something that smells like it came from a science experiment, filling the office with an aroma that will outlive civilization. Others will stand in line for overpriced sandwiches because nothing says freedom like paying too much for bread with an attitude. After work, the show continues with errands. Grocery shopping is like a live-action game show. You push a squeaky cart through aisles designed to trap you, hunting for the one item you forgot while dodging people who somehow manage to block the entire aisle with a single elbow. The checkout line is its own little drama. You wait patiently while someone ahead of you debates the price of a banana, and when it's finally your turn, the machine beeps like you've committed a crime. Unexpected item in the bagging area. Of course it's unexpected. It's called groceries, not a surprise party. And let's not forget home life, where the routines become rituals. Mail piles up like paper snowdrifts. Laundry multiplies in the dark. There's always one mysterious plastic container in the fridge holding something that used to be food, but now qualifies as a science project. People talk to appliances as if they're sentient. Come on, don't break on me now. As if the dishwasher is waiting for the perfect moment to ruin your day. And when it does break, you stand there negotiating with a machine, promising to clean the filter if it just gives you one more cycle. Even entertainment follows a script. People sit down to relax, only to spend an hour scrolling through endless options, unable to decide what to watch. They'll watch previews of 10 different shows, read reviews, ask friends for recommendations, and then finally settle on something they've already seen 3 times, and halfway through they fall asleep anyway. The great irony of modern relaxation is that it's exhausting. Social gatherings are their own comedy act. Parties follow the same pattern every time. Someone shows up too early, someone shows up too late, and someone shows up with a dish nobody touches. Small talk becomes a competitive sport. How's work? Busy. You? Busy. Everyone's busy, nobody's happy, and the snacks are always gone before the conversation gets interesting. People stand in circles, nodding and laughing politely, while secretly calculating how soon they can leave without looking rude. And when they finally escape, they say, "We should do this more often," knowing full well they'll spend the next 3 weeks avoiding each other. Even bedtime is a routine full of absurdity. People climb into bed, determined to rest, only to lie awake replaying every embarrassing thing they've ever done since childhood. They'll adjust pillows, check the clock, and worry about how little sleep they're getting, which guarantees they'll get even less. Eventually, they drift off just in time for the alarm clock to start the whole performance again. What makes all of this so funny is how seriously everyone takes it. These routines are presented as the building blocks of a responsible life, but really they're just a series of small, harmless insanities we've all agreed to participate in. Nobody questions why we do these things. We just keep doing them, day after day, because that's what everyone else is doing. We dress up the same habits with fancy names like schedule or plan, but underneath it's all the same slapstick dance, repeated until the credits roll. And maybe that's why modern life feels like such a grand comedy. It's not the big events that make it ridiculous. It's the tiny, ordinary moments we treat as serious business. The alarm clock that dictates our mood. The coffee machine that decides our worth. The traffic light that mocks our patience. All these little routines add up to a daily performance we pretend is normal, but it's really just one long, running joke. And the punchline is that we're all in the cast, playing our parts perfectly, without ever realizing the show is meant to make us laugh.